Symbol of the country. So you can take the symbol of the Parliament of India. The Parliament of India. The Parliament of India is a nation in miniature in itself. So if you have to take the symbol of the country, you can take the symbol of the Parliament of India. So it is nation in miniature. What do you mean by nation in miniature? Let me tell you. But one more thing is that here nation in miniature means it is the symbol of the country. It is the symbol of the country. Symbol of the country. So this is the thing. What do you mean by symbol of the country? Let me take a new slide. So here, when we say that Indian Parliament is a nation in miniature, a nation or the nation. Here the nation means the Indian nation, the nation in miniature. The nation in miniature. We mean that if you look at the Indian Parliament, the members of the Parliament, are very myriad. Here myriad means they are very diverse. They came from different geographical location of the country, from all over the country. They are very diverse. They came from the geographical diversity in the members of the Parliament. That they come from different regions of the Parliament, different states of the Parliament, different parliamentary constituencies. They came from different religious groups. So there is religious diversity also. As India is very religiously very diverse, in the same way our Parliament is also religiously very diverse. So religious diversity is there. Then there is caste and class diversity. Caste and class diversity also, that our parliamentarians, they are very diverse. They come from different castes, different communities, different classes. So this is the reason that when we see, and India is also very diverse, very myriad in terms of geography, in terms of religion, in terms of caste, class, creed, race. So this is and this diversity is symbolized by the Parliament. And this is the reason that why we say Indian Parliament in itself is a nation in miniature. So by looking at the Parliament, we can know what the country India stands for. So this is the reason that why we say that by looking at the Parliament, we can take the symbol of the country. So Parliament is the symbol of the country, symbol of the Indian nation. And so this is the reason why it is told that Indian Parliament is a nation in miniature, or the Indian nation in miniature, because the members of the Parliament, they are directly elected by the people. They are the representatives of the people. They are the representatives of the people, and they are directly elected on the basis of a universal adult franchise. They are directly So I was telling that the members of the Parliament, they are representatives of the people of the country, representatives of the people, and they are directly elected. They are directly elected by the people on the basis of universal adult franchise. Universal adult franchise. I will tell you what do we mean by universal adult franchise. That is, every adult person, every adult citizen of the country has a right to vote, and he elects, right to elect, and he elects his representative, and this is known as universal adult franchise. So by looking at the Parliament, the major characteristics of the Indian Parliament is that Indian Parliament in itself is the nation in miniature. And by looking at the Parliament, we can take the sample of the country, what the Indian country, how much diverse Indian country is, and how diverse, how geographically diverse, how religiously diverse, how caste diverse in caste, class, and all these things. So this diversity is maintained. This diversity is represented by the you can say the parliament, and this is one more characteristics of the parliament. Now let's come to our main topic, the major topic, and the major topic was that today we have to discuss today we have to discuss the composition of parliament. Composition of parliament. Composition of parliament. So tell me by chatting that what are different components of the parliament? What are things that comprise the parliament? What are the components of parliament, or what does comprise parliament? So parliament is comprised of what? Write in the comment section. Tell me, what are the components of parliament, or parliament of India comprises of what? Okay, so there are three components of the parliament. First, president. Second,
हेलो
yes.
हाँ सर
Third, Rajya Sabha.
एक्चुअली आवाज बहुत स्लो आ रहा है अभी तो सिस्टम में भी प्रॉब्लम हो गया है वही ठीक कर रहे हैं
बोलिए, क्योंकि मेरा स्पीकर खराब है तो आवाज पता नहीं चल रहा है क्या कर रहे हैं आप कमेंट करके बता सकते हैं जो भी आपको पूछना हो या कहना हो. Okay,
हाँ
parliament comprises of the president, the Lok Sabha, and Rajya Sabha. Always remember that president is not only the head of the executive, not only the president of the executive, not only head of the executive, he is also a very much part of the parliament. So, and we will talk about president in executive chapter, but here we have to talk about Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So the first house that we will talk about is Rajya Sabha. So let's talk about Rajya Sabha first. Let's talk about the Rajya Sabha first. Rajya Sabha. So in this section of Rajya Sabha, what we have to talk about? First, we have to talk about nomenclature. Nomenclature. First, let me 1 minute. So in the Rajya Sabha, first we have to talk about nomenclature. Nomenclature. What are different terms that stand for Rajya Sabha? Second, we have to talk about the qualification of the members. Qualification of the members. Third, we have to talk about the manner of election. The manner of election. Fourth thing that we have to talk about is disqualification. And as I have already told, disqualification, as I have already told that there are different. A member of parliament can be disqualified under 3 laws. First, there are some grounds mentioned in the constitution itself that a member of parliament can be disqualified. There are some grounds mentioned in Representatives of the People's Act 1951, and there are some grounds of disqualification mentioned in anti-defection law. Anti-defection law. So we will talk about all these things. Then we will talk about the special powers of Rajya Sabha. There are some powers especially available to Rajya Sabha. So we will talk about special powers, and then we will talk about the relevance of Rajya Sabha. relevance, whether Rajya Sabha is relevant or not, whether because some critics and some scholars are saying that Rajya Sabha has no relevance, so we should abolish this. For example, such as people in the state are saying that legislative councils have become secondary chamber and they have no relevance, so they should be abolished. In the same way, recently there was a news that in Andhra Pradesh, in Andhra Pradesh, the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, Jagan Mohan Reddy, he passed a resolution that the Legislative Council of Andhra Pradesh, the second house, that is upper chamber, should be abolished, because he said that there is no need of Legislative Council, only Legislative Assembly is sufficient. Only Legislative Assembly, State Legislative Assembly will suffice. So there is no need of a Legislative Council. So there was a resolution passed, but but a state government cannot abolish or create Legislative Council. It is only the Parliament that can create or abolish Legislative Council. So no decision was taken by the Parliament up to now. So there is no progress in this matter, but you should remember. In the same way, people are also, some of the scholars or some of the critics also say that the Rajya Sabha has also no relevance, so it should be abolished. So we'll talk about whether this ground is correct or not. Whether this ground is correct or not. So we will talk about relevance of Rajya Sabha. So now let's start. The first thing that we have to talk about is nomenclature. So what are different nomenclature for Rajya Sabha? So nomenclature for Rajya Sabha. So can anyone tell me some of the nomenclature for Rajya Sabha? What are different terms used for Rajya Sabha? Nomenclature. What are different terms used for Rajya Sabha? Write in the chat box. What are the different terms used for Rajya Sabha? Okay, so let me tell you, there are different nomenclature for Rajya Sabha. First nomenclature is that it is called upper house or upper chamber of the parliament. So it is upper chamber of the parliament. It is also called House of Elders. It is also called Council of States. In English it is called Council of States. It is also called Permanent House because it is not dissolved, it does not get dissolved, so it is Permanent House. So these are the terminologies that are associated with the Rajya Sabha. That Rajya Sabha is known by these various names. So this was about nomenclature. That Rajya Sabha is also known as upper house or upper chamber. It is also called House of Elders. It is also called Council of States, and it is the Permanent House. So this is the thing. Now let's talk about what is the qualification required to be elected as the members of Rajya Sabha. So qualification. So in the case of qualification, there is a universal qualification for any post, and that is that he or she, the contestant, should be the citizen of India. So this is universal qualification for every post, that an aspiring candidate, the candidate should be citizen of India. If he is not citizen of India, then he cannot contest for any election, he cannot be appointed, and all these things. Second qualification is about age. So minimum age should be 30 years. minimum age should be, so he or she should not be less than of 30 years of age. 30 years. So this is the second qualification. And third qualification is a very interesting. It says that he or she should not be disqualified or liable to be disqualified. So we can say that he or she should not be liable to be disqualified under any law made by the parliament. So any law made by the parliament, So these are the three qualifications that should be available with a candidate to be qualified enough to contest the elections to the Rajya Sabha. So this is the thing. First qualification, citizen of India. He or she should be citizen of India. Second qualification, minimum age should be not less than 30 years. And third qualification is he or she should not be liable to be disqualified under any law made by the parliament. So this, and the fourth qualification was earlier there, but now it has been abolished. The fourth qualification was that he or she should be registered voter, should be a registered voter, of the particular state, from where he want to contest the elections to the Lok Sabha, of the particular state, What do we mean? What do we mean by it? That he or she should be a registered voter of the particular state. Now this qualification has been abolished by an amendment under Representation of People's Act 2003. In 2003, there was an amendment in the Representatives of the People's Act 1951, and by that amendment, this clause that a contestant to the Rajya Sabha membership should be a registered voter of the particular state has been abolished. And this amendment was also upheld by the Supreme Court, because this amendment was challenged by the Supreme Court on the basis of federalism, but Supreme Court upheld in Kuldeep Nayyar versus Union of India case. Supreme Court upheld this decision. So let me talk about this fourth ground or of qualification in great detail. But before that, let me reiterate again that there are some qualifications required to contest election to the Rajya Sabha. First is that the universal qualification that he or she should be a citizen of India. Second, minimum age should not be less than 30 years. And third, he or she should not be liable to be disqualified under any law made by the parliament. And fourth is that earlier there was a fourth ground also, that he or she should be a registered voter of the particular state. So let me talk about this fourth ground in great detail. What do we mean by when we say that should be registered voter in a particular state? Registered voter in a particular state from where he wants to contest the election, from where he or she wants to contest the contest the election. For example, suppose this is the state X and there are vacancies in the Rajya Sabha from the state X. Suppose there is a one vacancy of Rajya Sabha from UP. So suppose we know that in UP, or let me take a very good example of Puducherry. You know that Puducherry is there. Puducherry. How many seats in the Rajya Sabha are from Puducherry? Can anyone tell me? How many seats are there for Puducherry in Rajya Sabha? We know that there are fourth schedule of Indian Constitution, and fourth schedule talks about allocation of seats to the states in the Rajya Sabha. Not two, this is one. So allocation of seats in the Rajya Sabha to the states. So not only states, even union territory. Two of the union territories have seats in the Rajya Sabha. Can anyone tell me which are the union territories that have seats in the Rajya Sabha? Though they are union territories, they are not states, but they have seats in the Rajya Sabha. Which are these states? Which are the states that have? Which are the two union territories that have seats in the Rajya Sabha? These are okay. Which are the state? Which are the yes? Not the other. It is Puducherry and Delhi. Why Puducherry and Delhi? Puducherry and Delhi. Puducherry and Delhi. Puducherry and Delhi have seats in the Rajya Sabha. Why only these two union territories? Not other union territories. Okay, why only Delhi and Puducherry? Why only Union Territory of Delhi and Puducherry have seats in the Rajya Sabha? Tell me. Okay, so let me tell. Only these two union territories have seats in the Rajya Sabha because only these two union territories have legislative assemblies. No other union territory. Yes, nowadays even Jammu Kashmir and Ladakh has also been made a union territory. But Jammu Kashmir is a new phenomena. It is a new decision. Jammu Kashmir will have a legislative assembly. Its legislative council will be abolished, but it will have a legislative assembly. And Jammu Kashmir has now been turned into union territory. But if we talk about the earlier position, only Puducherry and Delhi have legislative assemblies. And this was the reason that why only Puducherry and the Union Territory of Delhi were given seats in the Rajya Sabha. So Delhi has three seats in the Rajya Sabha, and Puducherry has one seat in the Rajya Sabha. We'll talk about this also in subsequent lecture also. But let me talk about this. The next thing is that first let me erase this. Okay, so I was telling that the fourth reason was the fourth ground of qualification was that he or she, the contestant to the Rajya Sabha seat of a Rajya Sabha seat, should be a registered voter in that state, in that particular state. Should be a registered voter in that particular state. 1 minute, the pen has stopped. But now there was, and this ground was under constitution. Okay, so let me talk about a little bit in great detail. There are qualification, grounds of qualification for contesting election to Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Grounds of qualification. Grounds. One minute. Grounds of qualification. So there are different grounds mentioned. One ground is mentioned by the constitution itself. There are some grounds to the election mentioned by the constitution itself. Second, there are some grounds mentioned by the Representatives of the People's Act 1951. This is Representatives of the People's Act. Representatives of People's Act. People's Act 1951. 1951. So there are some grounds of qualification mentioned in Representatives of the People's Act also, and there are some grounds of qualification in other laws also. Other laws. For example, Constitution only talks about two grounds. First ground was that he or she should be citizen of India. Citizen of India. That a contestant to the election to the Rajya Sabha should be a citizen of India. A second ground, minimum age should not be less than, the age should not be less than, so he or she should not be, 1 minute, and has stopped. Okay. The next ground is that mentioned in the constitution is that first he or she should be, the contestant to the Lok Sabha, to the Rajya Sabha seat should be citizen of India, and second, not less than 30 years of age. Sorry, not less than, this is less than, okay, so not less than 30 years of age, years in age. So these are only two grounds that are mentioned under the constitution for contesting in any election, any seats, while other grounds are mentioned in Representatives of the People's Act. For example, as I told you that there was a ground that he or she should be registered voter in the particular state. Earlier this was a ground. So the above ground was mentioned in the Representatives of the People's Act, that is he or she should be a registered voter in the particular state from where he wants to contest the election. So he should be a registered voter. He should not be an insolvent person. Insolvent, that is he, what do you mean by insolvent? Insolvent means he has taken a loan and now he has defaulted. So for example, Vijay Mallya was there. For example, you know that Mehul Choksi and all these people, they are defaulters. They are insolvent persons, bankrupt persons. So he should not be insolvent and bankrupt. He should not have been declared insolvent and bankrupt. He should not be, he should be a sound mind. He should be of sound mind. He should not be a mad, or he should not be a lunatic, or he should not be of unstable mind, improper mind. So he should be of a sound mind. So these are other things mentioned, other qualifications mentioned under the other laws and Representatives of the People's Act. So I was telling that earlier there was a ground that a person who wants to contest on the seat of Rajya Sabha from a particular state, he or she should be the member, the registered voter in that particular state. But, and this ground was mentioned in the Representatives of the People's Act 1951. But this 1 minute, it is not erasing, getting erased. 1 minute, let me clear this. Okay. Today the pen is not working properly. It is getting stopped again and again. There is some problem, I think. Okay, so now it's working. Okay, so this ground was there in the Representatives of the People's Act 1951, but in 2003 there was an amendment in the Representations of the People's Act, Representatives of the People's Act amendment, and as per the 2003 amendment, this ground was done away. That now even a contestant, a candidate who is not a registered voter in a particular state can contest election to the Rajya Sabha. Even a non-registered voter also from that state can contest election to the Rajya Sabha as per the amendment in 2003 that was done in Representations of the People's Act 1951. So you have to remember this, that now this ground no longer exists. Now any person can contest election. If he is a registered voter in any state, he can contest election on the seats of Rajya Sabha in any state. So now there is no longer this registered voter criteria for the election to the Rajya Sabha. So this is the thing that now, but this decision, this amendment was contested, this amendment was challenged in the Supreme Court. This amendment was challenged. Can anyone tell me why this amendment was challenged? What may have been the reason that this amendment was challenged? That no, we should keep that only a registered voter should contest the election to the Rajya Sabha from that state. Can anyone tell me why this amendment, 2003 amendment was challenged in the Supreme Court? This 2003 amendment was challenged in the Supreme Court on the basis of federalism. People said that, some scholars believed that this 2003 amendment in the Representations of the People's Act 1951, Representatives of the People's Act 1951, violates federalism. Violates federalism. 1 minute, someone is calling. Okay, so this amendment to the Representatives of the People's Act was contested on the basis of federalism, that this amendment violates federalism. Why it violates federalism? You know that the major characteristics of Rajya Sabha is that Rajya Sabha represents states, represents states at the central level, at the central level, central level. So when Rajya Sabha represents the states at the central level, and the members to the Rajya Sabha, the members to the Rajya Sabha are the representative of the state, particular state in the at the central level, are the members, are the representatives, representatives to representatives of the states, of the states, the states at the central level, at the union level, union level. So how a non-resident or non-registered voter from a particular state can represent that state in parliament? This was the contention. This was the contention, and on the basis of this, and some scholars suggested that this violates federal principles. This violates the federal structure or federal principle. So this amendment was contested in a very popular case. This case is known as Kuldeep Nayyar versus Union of India case. And this case, this amendment was contested in 2006, but Supreme Court in this case held that it does not violate federal principles. This Supreme Court upheld this amendment, 2003 amendment. Supreme Court upheld, and it said that no, this amendment does not violate the federal principles. So this amendment was upheld, and now the position is that there are only four requirements to contest the election to the Rajya Sabha. First requirement is that as per the constitution, the first ground to contest the election is that he or she, the candidate, should be a citizen of India. Second requirement is not less than 30 years of age. Fourth is then there are some other requirements also. One more requirement is there. He or she should not hold the office of profit. So we will talk about office of profit in the later part of this lecture. So you should remember that there is one more ground, office of profit, mentioned in the constitution. And even last year a question was asked on office of profit in the prelims examination itself. Prelim 2019, there was a question asked on office of profit. So we will talk about what do we mean by office of profit, and how it is a ground of disqualification or ground of qualification for the members, that they should not hold of any office of profit. So these are the three grounds mentioned in the constitution. Then there are some grounds of qualification mentioned in the Representatives of the People's Act 1951. First ground is that he should be of sound mind, and first ground is that earlier there was a ground. What was the ground? The ground was that he should be a registered voter, he should not be insolvent and bankrupt, and he should be of sound mind. So these were the grounds. But now these grounds have been, the ground of registered voter has been dropped by 2003 amendment. So there is no need to be a registered voter to contest the election to the Rajya Sabha from a particular state. Now there is only grounds are that they should be of sound mind, sound mind. They should not be of infirmity of mind, and they should not be bankrupt or insolvent. So these are the grounds mentioned in the Representatives of the People's Act, and there are some other grounds mentioned in other laws. We will talk about that and in subsequent things, a subsequent lecture. So now let's come to, so we have talked about the qualification. Now let's come to the disqualification. But before disqualification, let me talk about the manner of election to the Rajya Sabha, members of Rajya Sabha. So manner or mode of election. Manner or mode of election. So what are the manner or mode of election? The manner of election to the Rajya Sabha is proportional representation system. Proportional representation system. It is also called PRS, proportional representation system, and it is based on open ballot, that everyone can see who is voting whom. This is called open ballot system. So it is not a closed ballot, it is open ballot system. So always remember, the election to the Rajya Sabha is open ballot. It is not secret ballot, and it is based on proportional representation system. What do you mean by proportional representation system? Proportional representation system is that every party having legislatures in the legislative assemblies, legislatures in the legislative assembly of the state, legislative assembly should get proportionate share in the Rajya Sabha, proportionate seat in the Rajya Sabha, proportionate seat in the Rajya Sabha. This is called proportional representation system.